a session, it's an info webinar session for our program, IEEE Regionate Sustainable Universities program. And I'm very happy and honored to invite these two people that I know already and have the privilege of working with them. Today with us is Abdulatif Alayu and Martina Borak. And of course, I'm going to let introduce themselves also. So very short from my side. I have to give you an update that this session will be recorded. So if you have any issues with showing your face or, writing anything or all of that, just keep in mind it will be recorded. So if you stay in this call, you're automatically acknowledging that and accepting the rules for this. So we can start the recording. One of my colleagues will do that. And from the other perspective, let me just say that please don't interrupt the session while the speaker is speaking, but you are more than welcome to write your questions in the chat box or contact later when there will be a required time for the Q&A. So people will go over the chat and of course you can ask directly question. So this is the agenda for today. We will have Abdulatif sessions, Campus to Community, Project Management for Campus Sustainability. And we will have Martina present us more about the program itself, how it's imagined to work. And hopefully that will clear up many of your questions in advance. But of course, as mentioned, we will have a designed Q&A session for it afterwards. So that is from my side. Once again, thank you for being here. Hopefully this will be very useful for you and we will get many applications for the program. It's something that we're running first time, so we are quite excited about it. Thank you again for Abdulatif and Martina having time today. And with that being said, I would like to give the word to Abdulatif.
All right, thank you very much, and I hope we're doing well. It's good to be back on SAC's webinar and with my honorable and wonderful colleagues, Martina Borak and also Vildana. So how are we all doing today? So just first of all, before I start, I would just want to give us some expectation. I know at the end of this webinar, we will definitely know why sustainability matter. And also we'll be sharing some very good examples of sustainability projects. And we'll be talking about the new initiative, of course, and all you need to know about the timeline on how to execute, all we'll be talking about. And also I'll try to break down how you can define your own SMART goals as well as the project and some interesting tools to use, and most importantly, some of the common mistakes that can come along. So tighten your seatbelt and let's take off. So this is me, for those of you that don't know me, and just like Martina and also Vildana did mention, I was the past chair of Region SAC, currently serve as Region X Zone Representative. And also, I'm the chair-elect of the African Council. So I've not started my term yet, but in the coming 18 months, I'm going to be the chair to take the affair of the African Council. But for my day-to-day, I'm a director of projects and networks with Free Street Telecom. So just a few that know me, I'm a telecoms and renewable energy guy. So, and if you want to connect with me, feel free to scan that QR code, then we can be in contact. So why sustainability matters? You can see that there's all these buzz about carbon, carbon footprints all over the world, and there's need for us to do a little bit of mitigation to reduce that. You can see the numbers, they are there, and also, energy use by buildings globally, it's about 40%, And you see a lot of university trying to move from the normal energy use to net zero. And don't forget that credit is being given for that, for those of you that know about the net zero credit. So we thought of it in Regional Circle, like, why not? Why can't we do something for our students to be able to tap into the opportunity by building something sustainable from their campuses to impact their community and also vice versa. So we're not giving much, but I think it's a token for you to get your pilot started. So, which is very, very important. And that pilot can go a very long way to impact millions. So all you need to do is to start small, start locally, and it can also be impacted globally. So we want to make sure that all what we're doing align with the Sustainable Development Goals, for those of you that know them, and you can see them in terms of quality of education, affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities, and climate action, responsible consumption of energy, etc. So we are engineers, we are innovators, and collectively we play a very vital role to make all this happen. So what does a smart campus look like? For some of you, if I were asked, you know that we'll be talking about smart energy, reduction of waste, clean transportation within campus, smart monitoring, green space, and community impact. These are just some of the examples we can think about. And one interesting thing is I try to bring some kind of example for you to picture in your head what you can put into your proposal when you're applying. So when you talk about smart energy, you'll be talking about smart metering, solar panels, LEDs, and some of the on-demand. And circular economy, you're talking about zero waste lab, using of recycles and to develop good things. Clean transportation, you'll be talking about EVs, cycling infrastructure, low emission, shuttles program, etc. And just to mention a few. Smart monitoring involves the use of IoT. All of us know about IoT. We know about Raspberry Pi. We know about Arduino, and etc. So how do you put all these things to solve problems within campuses and as well as the community? So first case study, interestingly, we're talking about the DARE project, which is Digital Energy Efficiency and Renewable Project, which has to start by you thinking about solving a problem by creating diagnostics, checking to see that you're able to gather the necessary data. So IHT sensors were being mapped across respective faculties in the building, and they were able to get data that about 38% of consumptions happen after, school hours. And that, if you calculate it to how much the campus spend on energy, you know that that is very, very significant. So engineers like yourself, your colleagues in schools, your faculty, gather together to act swiftly to design smart blocks within the campus using Raspberry Pi and controller real-time dashboard to see where that is on or where that is off, and they're able to turn the switches off and they're able to turn it on, and they were able to significantly cut down the cost of energy in that campus by 22%. So you see, putting some kind of IoT devices, they are not expensive, and they were able to solve the problem within that campus. So the next thing is execute. After that, identifying their plans, they have to execute So they deploy 3 pilots in 3 buildings. And in doing this, they do have what they call sprints, do have stand-up meeting before the ban, and they keep track of what they're doing on that particular project. Okay. And the most important part of it all is that they are actually sending a report and they're communicating and they're sharing the success of what they've done within those campuses with their peers and some people that are interested, which are the stakeholders on the project. The next example I'm still going to show you is also a DARE. Interestingly, they both carry the same name, but they are not the same project. But it's also a DARE project. But this DARE project is different one. It's an EV project in Egypt, Cairo. It happened and we're able to commission it. So there's been a problem of transportation within campus, and moving between one building to another building takes time. And when they have classes, some students tend to miss out in class because they can't get there faster. So an interesting thing that one of the students, I don't know if Muhammad Saif was here on this call, they were able to write to IEEE Smart Village that they have this problem in the school and they want to design some EVs in terms of a electric scooter, and they just need $3,000 for a pilot. I said, well, there's no problem. It's entrepreneurship and it's going to solve the problem within the campus, impact people. What do you need? And you can see there at the picture at your far right, you see just 2 solar panels, and somewhere bottom there is a
I think Abdul disconnected for a minute, so let us just wait a bit for him to join back.
In the meantime, just to answer Abdul's question, Mohammed will not be in that call today, but he's actually one of the team members for Sustainable Universities program. So yeah, we are happy to also have him on our team. And yeah, let's hope Abdul joins in a few seconds.
Maybe somebody will make a sustainable project about sustainable internet on their campus. I think many of us would benefit about that.
And in the meantime, just a reminder, if you have any questions during the presentations, you can put them in the chat. Maybe, okay, I don't know if we will be able to answer them now, because probably most of the things you will learn from the presentation. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them as well. Okay, and Abdul is back. Let me add you again to move the slides.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I just said disconnected.
Happens. We explained that somebody might start a campus project for a sustainable internet. So we use this opportunity.
That's very good. It's very important.
Yeah. So maybe just for a while stay without the camera. It might help. Thank you.
All right. So I'll just try to do that. I think I should be fine. So what happened was, okay, without camera, that's okay. So they threw in 2 solar panels, a lithium-ion battery, and a charger, and they're able to charge the scooters, within the campuses. So if you put together how much is maybe 2 times 200 watt solar panels, this is less than $500. And the battery, it's something you need to also have to put in place, and the charger, of course, and the scooter. So the good thing is, this project, I don't know, it's cost about 3,000K, and it's very, very impactful. And you can do a project that's even far, far less than that. And if you're doing a project that's even bigger than the 2,000K that we have to give you, the faculties are there are other sources that can use to get the money to complete that, okay? And if your project is very, very fantastic, you can talk to the likes of IEEE Foundation, IEEE Smart Village, Humanitarian Activities Fund, and they're able to scale your project for you. So don't be too shy to start small, and you can scale it. So talking about the framework for you to be able to train sustainability, treating your idea, sustainable idea, as a project. So all you need to do is for you to first of all define the problem that's under initiation. You know clearly the problems you want to solve, okay? And of course, you have a charter. Charter is going to detail out some important things, what you want to achieve, who are the people that you need to talk to, who are the stakeholders, and at the end of it, what is definition of done? What does success look like? How much is it that you're going to use to do this? And you do stakeholder mapping. For projects that you are doing in the community, definitely you need to know who the community head is, who is the chief, and who are the people that make things happen in that community, for example. So you need to know them. And after that, being initiated, then you now have to plan. So you go into your SMART objective, the timeline, the budget, and also some risks that you anticipate might happen. And this is where you need to do serious job. A lot of risks, when they happen, it make projects not to achieve the set goals or the objective. It ends up not being completed. So you need to understand what are the risks associated with your project, and you need to track them very closely. And if all this is in place, is in check, I want to assume that these are the things that will go into the proposals that we'll be looking into. Then execution starts when we send you that email that most of you will be looking forward to. Congratulations, you have this 2,000K from Region HSAC, and you're good to go. So it's now time for you to execute. You're not done yet. So you need to assign roles, responsibility to respective people that you'll be working with. And we advise you that you have your sprint meetings, and you definitely have like a kind of a Kanban board you're looking into. And the interesting thing is these days you have a lot of softwares that you can do your Kanban board on. One of them is a Trello. Some of you know that Smartsheets also help if you have the license. You have so many other tools that you can use as well. Jira, for example, for some of you that work in software, you can use all those tools to to place your respective tasks, and you know who is doing what. So in this webinar, we know that one of the hosts is Martina and the co-host is Dana. We know what to do when things goes wrong, etc. So, and this you need to know. And very closely, as the lead of the project, if you are one of them, you need to watch very closely. You track your respective KPI because it's a project. You don't leave it to last forever. It has a start date, it has a finish date, and you know that it's meant to achieve. No way.
Abdul, can you just repeat the last thing? And you had a small
Okay.
cut.
Okay, so The last thing I said was for you to manage changes very closely, because change will happen. And when it happens, you might know how to deal with it. So when those changes happen, for example, scope creep, what is not in your project, before you didn't plan with it and someone wants you to implement it, how do you respond to that? Things like that. So you need to manage them very carefully. If the grantors want you to report any change, then you have to tell them, you have a change in your project, it's going to cost you X amount, it's going to impact this part of your project, and the time for delivery will change. So that you need to communicate to them very clearly. So it's very important. So let's assume that everything in this framework is being put to practice and your project was done, completed. Then you need to send a very importantly, the impact report. This is how we completed the project. 20 number of people were able to use the electric vehicles per week. And these are the lessons we've learned on the project. And this project can either be scaled or replicated in another part of the world. And these are the things that might change. So there you are helping us, helping others. And then you have now make it something that is what? Sustainable. It's now sustainable, and we're able to keep track of that action moving forward. So now, SMART goals and your charter, we all know what SMART is. In fact, now it's no longer SMART, they make it to become what? Smarter. There's an ER, and I'll tell you what the ER is. So being specific, you know what exactly you want to do. Reduce electricity use in the Faculty of Engineering main building. So you might have 3 faculties, but this, your target is, you're being specific with engineering faculty at that building. So you're being specific. Measurable by 25% as tracked with smart hub meters over 3 months. So this is something you can measure. So you're going to install smart meters over 3 months and you're going to track it. So using that, you'll be able to know if there's any changes within this remote. Using IoT devices and scheduling that is achievable. IoT devices are readily available in market. You can easily get them. And that's what you want to achieve within student capacity and budget. So for our own, our budget is what, 2,000K. We're not going more than that, right? Martina, 2,000K. So it has to be within this budget. We don't want to see 10,000K proposals. We don't want to see something bigger, but once another call, like maybe from HTB comes along, you can say, hey, I have something, I've done a pilot, I want to scale it, and this is it. Then that you can confirm. It has to be relevant. So it has to directly address campus or community sustainability, SDG 7, SDG 13, whatever SDG you want, and that's already put there. And it has to be time bound, meaning that you just have to deploy it within that specific time that we have on our criteria, okay? So that is very, very important. And this is what we're looking out for. So some of the interesting tools you can use by your team and yourself is to make sure that you use the RACI matrix. I don't know if you have used it before. Can you raise up your hand? Do you know what RACI matrix is all about? Oh, I forgot I'm speaking with students. Okay, sorry. So RACI is just a acronym for someone that takes responsibility, someone is responsible for a task, and someone is accountable for that same task. Someone needs to be consulted, and some people just need to be informed. So if you put it on ChatGPT or your favorite AI tool, is going to break it down for you. So you are responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for clarity purposes. Okay, just for clarity. This you need to know. Who are the people that are actually involved? Who are the people that just need for information? On the other side, you have like your Gantt chart or your Kanban board, just like we explained, and you are able to do a lot of things in terms of timeline, in terms of track, in terms of when you have your sprint, to keep people what? Informed, to keep people on the same page, to keep people within their schedule. Okay? Then risk register, very, very important, please. So you will have what they call your risk register to register any anticipated risk that will hinder you completing your project successfully. You need to identify them very early. You need to know when to, flag them. You need to know when you need to avoid some risks by taking some insurance. You need to know when to transfer them, okay? And sometimes some risks can be positive, and the positive risks, what do you do with them? You accept them. You be like, okay, oh, it's coming and good. So you accept them positively, okay? Then budget tracking, very important. Budget, usually when you have your estimated cost and you put some contingency on it, like 10 to 15%, it becomes a budget for you. So don't say you're buying a screwdriver for $10 and your budget is $10. No. We expect a budget to be $10 plus X, because that X, there will be fluctuation in market and things go up, down, then you can put X. But when you begin to do budget and you put it double the price, then that becomes inflating the cost. So it's no longer a budget, but you are kind of increasing or inflating the cost. So you must have a communication plan. Project, more than 90% of project activities is communication. You communicate, 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 communicate. You talk to people, and you have a lot of stand-up meeting, weekly stand-up. 90% you communicating with people, you're giving them details, and that will help you succeed. Most importantly, at the end of it all, what do? You document your lessons learned so that you don't make the same mistake over and over and over and over again, and other people can benefit from it. So common mistakes that kills good project. On the right side, you see I give it a thumbs up, and on the left side, it is a no-no, okay? That's a no-no on the left side. So when you have very vague goals, you want to deploy solar panels. Does it make sense? No. Where are you deploying the solar panels? To where? For what purpose? What you want to achieve? How many solar panels you want to install? When you begin to get more questions from the answers you give, you know that you are not smart, you are not specific, right? But when you're very, very definitive, then it solves a problem. So you have to look out for scope creep. So you intend to install 2 batteries, and someone came and be like, okay, I need you to help me power the other building there, so you need 4 batteries. Come on. What budget do you have to do that? You don't have it. So it is not advisable. So you look out for scope creep. Unrealistic timeline, when you have something that's still, exaggerated. It's not realistic. Or you said, okay, you want to install 40 solar panels in 4 hours. How do you want to do that? I don't know. Maybe you can do it. So you have to be very, very realistic. If you have a very poor, terrible communication, you're not talking to people, you are not specifying what you're doing clearly, it becomes a problem, right? And ignoring risks, you treat it when it's too late, it becomes a bigger problem for you. So you have to deal with risks very quickly. No documentation, it's a problem. You have everything in your head, you're not putting them down. Only you understand what you want to do, then it becomes a problem later. And when you micromanage your team, it becomes a problem. You want to know every next step that you're doing, it becomes a problem. So if they are part of your team, you need to empower them. You need to let them take their initiative to do things. Okay? So how do you now leave the common mistake to the good practice? You write your SMART goals, you define your scope clearly, you break the project down in phases, you set a communication plan, who, what, when, how, and how often. Build a risk register, right? In a week, you review it because it might change, and you keep minutes if you're having meetings, you keep budgets, and you watch it very closely. And you can share that with your team on a shared drive, and everybody have access to it. They can do whatever they want to do. And just like I said, your RACI metrics, very, very important, okay? So you make use of that. So ideas for topics in subscope. These are some of the ideas. Energy efficiency, yes, a good mark. Renewable energy, good. Waste reduction, good. Circular economy within campus, good. So I've already gave you some tips, and I hope these tips will help you. So these tips that I'm going to give you is a pro tips, and please take it very seriously, okay? This is from experience. So start with impact, and you work backward. So this is the impact that we're looking at, and these are the things we need to put in place, you know, to make this happen. So what is the success look like for you? After you finish, what does it look like for you? So you define it day to day, and you plan backward, right? Then your team will be the success. If you have a fantastic team, then excellent. You don't have a problem. So just make sure that you communicate clearly who is doing what to avoid conflicts. So you communicate clearly. If you're doing the website, you're doing the website. If you're doing the design, you're doing the design. Let it be clear. Don't try to breach conflict between people. So plan for what can go wrong. Always ask yourself, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? What can go wrong? So if you're buying equipment from China, are you sure it's going to arrive before the timeline you give? So you need to, you know, think all that side. Are you going to be busy? Are you doing the project during the exam period that you don't have time for it? You have to think about that. So what happens if a member of your team drop out? What do you do to do that? So what can go wrong? You plan for that, okay? Measure everything, even the small wins. You measure it and you celebrate it, okay? So this brings us back to Thomas Edison. How many thousand experiments before the light bulbs? 10,000, right? So record them and make sure you keep records. That's very good. So document as you go. Everything you do, try to have it enter. 10 minutes is too much for you. Just enter it, make sure that you know the history of what has gone wrong or what is going right. And you have to take care of that. So why are we engineers? We think. How does this scale? How does it become bigger? How does it affect the campus, the policy? So you have to design how to replicate it to make sure it's sustainable. Okay, that's the title, sustainable. How do we make sure that we can scale it? Okay, so that is it from me. Pro tips, my email address is there, and I'll hand it back to Martina that will take a lot about the timelines and the sustainable university program itself. happy to take questions, and I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you. Back to you, Martina.
Well, thank you, Abdul. I'm going to jump in just quickly. As said, Martina will be the next presenting about the program, but if somebody has questions, because Abdul cannot stay maybe until the end of the session, so this is the time to ask him regarding his presentation and his things that he can give extra advices. I think the presentation was very informative, and the pro tips are very, I can confirm it's very useful. So here are some questions. Can you share your QR code again so we can scan and be able to reach out? So I think that is about your LinkedIn, or maybe just put.
I just pasted that's fine. I just put it.
Yes. Here is Abdul's LinkedIn to connect. Anything else? So we have, I'm from the Iraq section and I want to participate with my team. I submitted a petition to my student branch, but I did not get approval. There is still a short time left to submit. Is it possible for me to participate without a student branch? This is more a question for Martina maybe, and I think she will explain later about some deadlines, etc. So maybe to leave it out for later, Ali. Thank you. Anything else for now? We have a raised hand. Mohammed, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello? Hello, Martina.
Yes,
Hello,
we can hear you.
Abdul Latif. How are you? I am looking forward
Fine,
to
thank you.
provide the solution for the campus. But I have a question because I worry about submitting too many proposals and get refused. So what makes the proposal being refused for this cause? What is a very sensitive thing? If I am going to propose the solution in renewable energy like smart lighting, with a team of students and supervision from professors, what makes this proposal may be refused?
All right, thank
You
you.
got my
So,
question?
yeah, I got it. What will
Thank
make you
you.
not to get your proposal approved? So if you've done anything about the mistakes that I mentioned about, definitely your proposal will be rejected. If
Okay,
you are not
okay,
clear,
just like this.
if you are not clear about your goals, you will get it rejected. If you put ambiguous goals, you will get it rejected. If your budget is not realistic, we get it rejected. And if you don't have a good team, you get it rejected. Okay? So those mistakes, then you will be rejected. I hope this solves the problem.
Yes, but you know, Abdul Latif, it's something like tricky because I may think that my team is qualified, but from your side, you see they aren't. Uh, Maybe because I know them well. Maybe I didn't document everything. Something like this.
Okay, so if you work with our criteria, right? If you work with our criteria, there's possibility that your proposal might be good, but is it good enough with others that were submitted? That's where the problem might come because the fund is limited. Your proposal must be very, very good to be at the top of every other proposals. Okay.
Okay. My last question or follow up: if I am proposing this solution in a university um, that is not government, a private university, is it acceptable?
I didn't get the question. Ms. Dana, did you get that? Can you type it?
I mean, if the university within the solution isn't a governmental university, it's a private institution.
we're not concerned if your institution is private or public or
Yeah.
private. It's a university, right? And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
100%.
Thank you.
The main goal is to have something that is shared among the community at the university. So it doesn't matter if it's public or
Okay.
private.
Just I wanted to make sure, Martina, because some calls is calling or targeting the underserved communities. So I make sure that it is conflicting.
I didn't get everything. Did you, Martina? He mentioned something about you.
No, it's
Yes.
just trying to get clarification because some calls, but this particular call, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Okay,
university,
great. Thank you.
private, public, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abdul got it. Thank you. Okay, we have some other questions meanwhile, and we have Usman also raising a hand. So can you unmute yourself? And Mohammed, please.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I just joined late. I have one question regarding the presentation slides. Do you provide these slides if someone joined late this meeting?
So this presentation is being recorded. So after
Okay.
this, you can easily go to our YouTube page and you can watch it again. And also, I think if you have registered for this, you will be sent a link that takes you to where you can access it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excellent. So I see a question from Success in the chat that if the project they're thinking about is related to what was presented, it's not a problem. Just make sure that your goal is clear and your budget is on point. If you do any, because we'll be looking critically at the budget as well. We all know globally the price of a solar panel, for example. And if you say your solar panel is $1,000, definitely you're not going to get it, right? So it doesn't matter, okay? Just make sure your proposal have the SMART goals that we're looking for and it's in line with what we're doing. Thank you.
And I think it's important to mention here that maybe many people in different countries will have similar ideas maybe, but it should be implemented on their campus. So it's not a business idea that you will try to do worldwide. So you can implement something for your campus if it's really useful for the community.
Your budget closely.
Yes.
If what Ali is looking at, if there is a change in significant change in budget as a result of war, some force majeure, definitely that's why we say you need to communicate change, right? So there's a change request process, and if that change is approved by the board of the program, then you can, go ahead and implement. If it's not approved, then you'll be advised of the next step. Thank you. That's for Ali.
Yes, thank you, Abdul. That was everything that we had so far. If somebody has a quick question, let us know. Or we can move with the session with Martina. Okay.
All right. Thank you
we're good.
all. I'll still be at the background just in case anyone wants to ask questions. And if I'm not answering, meaning that I'm out of my decks. Over to you, guys.
Thank you, Abdul. Okay,
Thank you, Abdul, for joining us and for your presentation and also for answering some of the questions. I agree with all of the answers, but also maybe we will give a fuller answer during my presentation. We will also discuss what makes a good proposal, what we are looking for, what to specifically pay attention to, aside from the general mistakes that you can make that Abdulatif mentioned, and also specifics about the funding and eligibility. So let's dive in. And as previously, feel free to put your questions in the chat even during the presentation. I will be answering them at the end during the Q&A session, but just so you don't forget what you wanted to ask. Okay, so let's start with introducing the committees and units behind this program. So we have two committees of Regionate collaborating on this one. So we have Regionate Student Activities Committee, and we also have Regionate Humanitarian Technology Activities Committee. And we are supported financially by IEEE Region 8 and also by IEEE Foundation. And you can find more information about all of them on their websites. So next, I would like to meet the team. So we have both chairs of the committees mentioned before. So we have Theodoros, who is chairing student activities, and we have Samart, who is chairing Humanitarian Technologies Committee. You have me. I am chairing the Student Membership Experience Subcommittee of Regionate SAC. And also chairing this program. So if you have any questions, you can contact us through the email that is shared on basically all of the materials and will be also shared at the end of the presentation. But you can also contact me directly with any questions that you have, or you can reach out to other people on the team here, and they will also probably be able to help you or point you to someone who can answer your questions. And also on the team, we have Vildana, who is moderating our webinar today. We have Lucia, we have Antoni, who is actually also on the call and moderating the meeting as well from the technical side. We have Mohamed Sief, who was already mentioned in that webinar, who is working on the DEAR project. And we also have Abdul Hamid. So here's the general timeline of the program that will show you generally what this program is about. So now we are in phase 1, which is the call for projects. So the call has been opened in March, and the applications deadline is April 20. We will think about extending the deadline, but for now, please consider this the final date to submit your proposals. So you still have a few days left, and you should be expecting the funding decisions by May 1st. And then we will proceed to the implementation phase, which will be when you implement and deploy your projects and also fulfill other requirements that I will talk about a bit later. Then you need to remember that your projects should be complete by the end of July. So you have about 3 months to complete them. That's something to remember, and that's also something that needs to be represented in your proposal. And then you will have about 10 days to submit the final reports. So we can evaluate your project, how you implemented it, your impact, and we will select the finalists. I will also talk more about the final today. And the decisions for finalists should be around end of August, which will give us about 2 months to prepare for the grand final. That's where we will decide who gets the additional prizes. And also, we are planning to have side events of the program. So outside of that timeline, more or less once a month, you should expect an educational webinar with experts. They will be covering technical topics that are connected to sustainability of universities and in general. So just like today, Abdul also mentioned a couple of projects and the general smart campus ideas. So we will have each month a speaker presenting topics similar to that. And that's the general time frame of the program. So now we can move to something that is probably the most important for you today, which is the call for projects. So what exactly are we looking for? In the scope of the program, we have 2 topics or focus areas that you can select. Of course, your project may be aligned with both of them somehow, but at the time of application, you should select the one that is closer to your project. So one of them is energy efficiency and integration of renewable energy. And the second one is waste reduction and circular economy. And what is important for us when we are talking about the kind of project that you can do? The most important is that you need to deploy this project on campus. So you cannot do something that is like a smart home solution that you will have in your house. This is out of scope. You cannot have something just in any other community outside of your university. Of course, you decide if your solution would be only in like one building, so like one faculty, or if it would be in like maybe a common space on your campus, or it will be something university-wide. That's up to you to decide, and probably depends also on the problem that you're addressing and the idea that you have. But the project needs to be useful for the community. So as always, you need to start with a problem statement. You need to find a problem related to sustainability, related to one of those focus areas. And then you need to find a solution that will actually help your student community or a wider university community address this problem, make it better. We want you to create impact. And because of that, your project may be hardware-based, maybe software-based. This is something that I don't know if it's fully unique, but it's not very common in the funding programs that you can submit a project that is fully software-based, or it could be mixed, right? So it's totally okay for you to develop some kind of system or like a website or a mobile app, but you need to show us what problem it solves and like how it will impact your community. But again, it needs to be deployed on campus. So it cannot be just something that you have as, local host and nobody can actually access this. And also you cannot just create a prototype that then goes to, to the drawer and like it stays in one lab and no one can actually use it, right? It can be a prototype in a sense that this is your first attempt at creating this device or system or whatever. And of course, there is always room for improvement. So it doesn't need to be, perfect, but you're actually required to put it somewhere for students and for the community to use. And also important, it needs to be achievable by the end of July, which I already mentioned. Or if you plan something that would require 1 year to finish, we of course cannot fund this project. Okay. So here I put some examples of what we are looking for and what would be out of scope. But let me explain what the images mean. So let me start with the ones that are not good. The first image, I wanted to show you what I just mentioned about prototypes. What would be out of scope is just a simple prototype that you make at home or like at university and just stays as a prototype and nobody is using that. Of course, it does not mean that you cannot just create something with Arduino or some other microcontroller, and it can look like a prototype, but you are required to put it somewhere for people to use. So that's the first example of something that is not good for this program. The second picture, I do not mean you cannot use solar panels. Of course you can. And this is probably something that immediately comes to mind when you think about sustainability and energy. But what I wanted to show you here is, okay, someone is making a transaction or whatever. So what we don't want is you to just go buy a solar panel and install it on your campus and call that a project, right? The project requires you to have some input, like work on it, work on the technology, or at least like make it, adjust it to your specific need. So you can see in the left side that is like good examples. The first image, it is some kind of charging station. And I'm pretty sure that there are solar panels on top of it. But what is important is that it is creative. Somebody designed it, built it. It's actually, it looks nice. It improves the overall area. And it has many functions, because you can see that, okay, it can just be a place to rest and also to charge your phone. So of course, we are not expecting you to build something this big and this professional, but if you have the skills, you can go for it. But that's what we mean. We need you to be creative, even if somebody mentioned that your idea may not be unique, but it's unique within your university. Okay, but show us how you are applying your ideas and your approach to it, right? So we are not saying that we cannot fund similar projects, but I would say with a similar technology, you can always make something different, okay? And also that's why it is very important to write a good problem statement and show us the impact that you want to create, and show us that you are prepared to implement this project correctly. You have a specific idea, you have a timeline, you have the budget, you have the proper team just to do it. And the last image here, I was trying to find something at least that would maybe show you an idea. This is like a community or like free shelf with like office materials, I think. So the idea here was to point you towards the circular economy. So one of the ideas could be allowing students to share the resources to reduce the waste, right? So maybe some kind of solution that would allow you to leave something that you don't need, and then for somebody else to take it if they need it now, right? So you don't need to throw it out, and they don't need to buy the same thing. So you can think how technology can be applied to it. To make something like that, maybe you would make an application or another system that would allow you to manage that kind of thing. I don't want to give you specific examples here because it's not a point, and also I'm not the expert here, and I'm sure all of you are creative enough and you know your specific situation, your country, your university campus, to know what are the needs and what would be the best solution to create. Okay. So who can apply for this program? We put here that the team should be 3 to 5 members. They are all from the same university and the same student branch, which means you need to have a student branch on your campus. And all of the team members need to be student or graduate student member. And the student branch must be located within Region 8. Also, you will need the support from your university, which is represented by the endorsement letter from your student branch counselor. And also you need to show that you have the support of your section by sending us the endorsement letter from your section chair. And okay, maybe I will not go too much into detail about the team members because I know I have it a bit later also in the slides. But something really important here is the student branch and the endorsement from the student branch counselor. Why? Because the purpose of your project is to deploy something on campus. You cannot do it without permission, right? So that's why the endorsement letter from the student branch counselor is so important, and it should, the counselor is the connection between the students and the university. This is someone who is a member of the faculty, so they are kind of responsible to give you a letter that says, okay, the university is fine with you to deploy this project if you get the funding, right? And the section support is mainly because the funding will be transferred through the section's CB account. That's why it's best from our point of view to, at the time of application, you already contacted your section, you already know how to contact them, and they agree like, okay, if you get the funding, they will help you, they will transfer this funds for you to help you make the purchases and so on. All right. So about the project grants, we have the amount of funding that is up to $2,000 per team. And I would really like you to pay attention to that because of two reasons. So one reason is that the final amount may be different than the requested amount based on your proposed budget. So if we look at your proposal and the proposal is good, we want to fund your project, but we see that your budget is not really realistic, or you plan to spend on something that is not eligible, or that it's not budgeted well, you don't really need that. We may contact you and say, okay, we will fund your project, but not for 2,000, maybe for 1,500, right? So it could be reduced because of that. But also, you are absolutely fine with applying for a smaller amount. And I'm saying that because we don't have a specific number of projects that we want to fund. And we know that 2,000 is a big amount. So some projects, when they require a lot of hardware, when they are already a big developed ideas, they may need 2,000. But it's totally possible that you are able to do something great with just 500, right? And it's totally fine to apply for a smaller amount and make something that is really good. And also important here, if your project is purely software-based, the maximum amount that you can spend on software-related expenses is only 500. You will see in a moment that there is some additional money that you can use to organize an event connected to your project, which would be 200. So maybe if you have just a software-based project, you could apply for 700, right? So just keep that in mind. If you don't really need that higher amount, then it's totally fine to still apply. And we are actually expecting to fund more projects for smaller amounts and not like only a few for the full amount. And something to also keep in mind is that after you submit your final budget, after the project is done, if you did not spend all of the money, we will just send you the reimbursement for what you actually spent. That makes sense. I hope. So for the disbursement of the grants, we had a lot of discussions on that, and the default and really, really preferred way is to have the grants transferred to you on a reimbursement basis. Just like many of you are probably familiar how it works with other Regenerate SAC funding programs for events. This would be very similar. So after the project, you need to submit the final report. And then you will also give us the final budget, which, and you need to also, of course, collect the invoices and receipts. And based on that, we will see, okay, you actually completed the project, you made these expenses, so we are transferring you the amount. We put an option here, you will also see it in the application form, to mark that you are not able to make the purchases if we don't transfer you the money upfront. But this case is really complicated and it will be discussed individually but only in like exceptional cases. And most probably it would be a transfer of maybe half of the amount. And you need to also consider the timeline here, that it will already happen during the implementation phase. So really the advised and like default option is the reimbursement. And I'm sure that you know there are multiple ways to figure it out. You could make the expenses on your own. You could also ask the university to support you, because that's where the project happens. So many times it's possible for the university to give you the money and then get reimbursed when you get reimbursed. Or even you could ask your section. Many IEEE sections, when they get the confirmation from regional committees that you got approved to get funding, they will actually give you the money up front and then just keep the reimbursement. So this is what you should keep in mind. And now to also answer the question that was asked about the expenses changing. Of course, we know that when you're planning, you make some kind of estimation and the prices will not be exactly the same. So if it's not really that much different, you don't even need to inform us. And it's totally understandable that the expenses change. However, you should keep to the budget that was approved, like especially if the approval was for, let's say, 1,000, not 2,000. If you were approved to receive 1,000, you cannot really spend 2K and expect us to fund it, right? Because we have also a budget. And if we decide, okay, we are funding this project for 1K, then you cannot expect us to reimburse you for more. And also the case where you should consult with us is like if something happens and you need to change the project, you need to change the things that you are buying, and it really is something completely different than you planned, or like the proportions of your budget change, then you should probably consult with us if it's okay to change it. Right? So only the big changes in your budget should be consulted. Sorry. So now for the expenses, what you can spend the grants on, of course, the materials and components, software licenses, hosting, and so on. Like I mentioned, this is up to 500. Then you can also spend the grant money on printing and promotional materials. So like, I guess that's understandable. Your goal is to create impact, so you need people to know about your project. So you can totally print posters or some small gadgets or stickers or whatever to promote your project. Obviously within like the reasonable percentage of your budget. And also the local event expenses. I will mention that in a moment, that you are expected to organize at least one local event to promote your project, again, to increase the impact. And those expenses can be up to 200. All right. What you cannot spend the grant money on is paying salaries or stipends, of course, purchasing something like off the shelf instead of a full solution. So, of course, there are parts of your project that you will not develop from scratch. You can absolutely buy something as it is, but it cannot be your whole project, right? And of course, you cannot pay someone to produce your project. You need to actually work on it. So you can buy off-the-shelf components or even like separate devices, but it cannot be your full project. And as usual, you cannot spend the grant money or like laptops, general tools and equipment that can be used for just your personal use, or, you know, that's usually the equipment that you can also get at your university. And the last point, you cannot use it on travel because by default you are the students of the same university, so you are there at the university, so we don't expect you to have any travel expenses. And also you cannot spend the money on conference fees or publication charges. However, if you want to publish a paper or attend a conference and present maybe a poster about this project, of course, you can do it. However, the grant money is supposed to go directly to developing the project, so you cannot spend it on the conference. So how to apply? Applications are open until the 20th of April, which is in a few days. Like I said, we are considering an extension of that deadline, but please for now expect the form to close on Monday night. So, so you should really treat it as the final deadline for now. The application form can be found on the website of the project. There is also a checklist for the proposal that you can see what is important, what you need to collect before applying. And what you will need to prepare is the information about your team with IEEE membership details, including the membership number of your counselor. So please also ask them for that. Of course, you will need the description of your project and the implementation plan. You will need the budget breakdown, and you will need the 2 endorsement letters that were mentioned before. And please note that the applications submitted by email will not be accepted. So the application form is the only way you can apply. If you have any problems with the form, just email us. We will try to find a solution. Okay, and now what makes a good proposal? So I copied here some of the questions from the application form. So we will see here that we are basically asking for the elements of the project that you should prepare for any other project as well. So first of all, the problem statement. It is really important that you explain to us what the situation is, what problem you want to address, and why you think this is an important project. And it needs to be clear from that problem statement that it's actually within the scope of the call for projects, right? So one of the 2 focus areas. The other one is the proposed solution, and this is the main proposal. This is one file where you put all of your implementation plan, the timeline. You should also include here the risk assessment or like the risk management plan. So all of that. And I remember in the registration form, somebody already asked the question, what template you should use, or is there a template for application? There is no template. We are leaving that up to you. I would ask you for this proposal not to be 50 pages, because I think no project needs a 50 pages proposal. Or maybe actually if you are applying for a couple of millions for a research project that is a couple of years long, then maybe. But this is a 3 months project, so please don't overcomplicate it. Don't put too much. Just put what is relevant and what is important so that we can understand that you know what your project is, you know what your solution is, you know how you want to do it, what is the timeline, and so on. Another reason why there is no specific template is because your projects may be very, very different. If somebody has a software-based project, maybe they already have some mockups in Figma, and they want to put the screenshots or like the user journey, the workflows. Or if you have a hardware-based project, maybe maybe you want to put some schematics, or you want to put the photographs of the components. Maybe you want to put the photographs of like the area where you want to put your project. So this is completely up to you. I would just say impress us, makes us want to fund your project specifically. And this is also why we have the last question on that slide. We are asking specifically, why should we fund your project? And this is directly related to the point that was already raised about the uniqueness and the innovation of your project. So, of course, I'm sure most of us, at least if not all of us, when we heard about sustainability, we heard about energy, immediately in our heads we have solar panels, of course. And we are not saying that we will not be funding solar panels. We can, but make us believe that it is unique, it is showing your input, and it is actually solving a specific problem that you have, and you are creating impact. Right? The reproducibility here that is mentioned is kind of the other way around. Show us that if this idea is good, you can share it with other universities that they can implement, that would even increase the impact of your project. All right. And for the impact and evaluation, of course, we are asking you like how many students will be using that, how exactly is it addressing the problem. So the answer to this question should also somehow be related to the problem statement, right? Because obviously you have a specific problem that you are solving, so your impact needs to directly be an answer to your problem statement. All right. And the two also important parts in the application form are the team members and the project budget. The project budget, I think it should be easy to understand. As usual, we are asking you to give us all of the amounts in US dollars. You can, maybe it will be easier for you, you can also include the prices in your local currency, but we are only looking at the US dollars. And this is probably important, especially in the time like right now. Our budget is in US dollars and we are giving US dollars. So it is possible that the prices in your local currency will change or the exchange rate for US dollars will change. You need to take it into account. And unfortunately, if we approve the 2,000 for you, and in 3 months, it is actually less money in your local currency, we cannot give you more than 2,000. So we are always looking at the budgets in US dollars. That's why, again, we are expecting that the final budget will not be exactly what the proposal budget was. So keep that in mind, that sometimes the exchange rates change the other way than we would like them to go. But this is important to remember. And in your budget, of course, you should put like an itemized list of what you want to buy, not just general categories. Like you cannot put, okay, I will spend 50% of the budget on components and nothing more. We don't know what kind of components, right? You don't need to give specific, like very, very specific names of items and, you know, count every cent. It could be an estimate, but it needs to be itemized what exactly we are funding. And now for the team members, you will see that our form actually does not have questions about all of the names and membership numbers and emails and all of the contact information for the team members, because we are understanding that, okay, if you are applying, you have a certain team, but we are asking for the contact information to the team leader and the counselor. And the team leader is our like primary point of contact with your team. So choose responsibly. That person needs to actually reply to our emails and check in regularly how the project is going. But the other team members, we are asking you to just submit in one question, just list them. As mentioned before, we are expecting the team to be 3 to 5 people. So put their names, if you can also put their membership numbers, and specifically why they are valuable to this project, what is their background, and what will be their responsibility if in the project. And if you have more people than 5 supporting your project, you may work with your whole student bunch or even a wider community. You can also describe that in that answer. But keep in mind, you should be 3 to 5 people that are like the core team responsible for the project, right? Because sometimes having a team that is too big is not good for the project, because then you have a problem with putting responsibility on specific team members, on delegating the tasks and so on. So it's better to choose the 3 to 5 people that are responsible, that are working on that, and the other people can be supporting. All right. So to sum up, what makes a good proposal? A clear problem statement that is real, it is specific, and it addresses a sustainability challenge at your campus, and also is within the program scope. You need to show us a concrete solution, to have a defined idea with a realistic plan, how you want to actually do it. You need to select the right team that have relevant skills, and you already know what they will be doing, because 3 months is actually not that long, so you need to really think about this. You need to have an achievable timeline and a realistic budget. So these are kind of the requirements that if you don't show us a good answer to those 5 things, we may not want to fund your project, because it either looks like we don't have the confidence that you will be able to finalize it, or if the timeline is not good, then it may just be, you know, if you say that you need 1 year, then of course we cannot give you the funds. But the most important thing is being creative. I am mentioning that again because this will be the most important factor here. We are looking for original ideas. Please don't propose something that like already exists, especially if it's already on your campus that you want to recreate. At least if it's not something really, really innovative, because it doesn't need to be. Show us your input. All right. So that's the most important thing for us. Okay. So you submit the proposal. It's 1st of May. You are getting the decision that your project will be funded, and what then? Then we start the implementation phase. So you need to actually implement and deploy your project, which I hope you will be really happy about. And even I hope you will be inspired, and even if you unfortunately don't get funded in that edition, you will still want to follow up and make the project with other sources of funding. So the implementation, as mentioned, needs to be finalized by the end of July. And also, like Abdulatif mentioned before, document the whole process. Every time you are doing something, write it down, take pictures. That's also something that Verdana always says. If you don't have the photos, it did not happen. So it's really important to have documentation that you can show us the work that you did, and also track the measurable outcomes, because maybe you will deploy the project gradually. Maybe somebody will already start using it before, or maybe you can track how many people participated in your event. So that's the second part, the local event. You are asked to organize at least one local awareness event. It can be a big one, but it can be also a small event. One of the ideas is to have a project launch. So when your project is ready, you can have an event where you are like putting it somewhere and you're showing to everyone, demonstrate how to use it, or like make an official opening, and so on. But it could be something different. It could be a technical seminar that is like really related to the problem you are solving. And it does not need to be at the end of the project. We know that many of you will have exams during the implementation phase. We know that for some of you, July is going to be the summer vacation. So it might be difficult to have a student event in July, but it's totally fine to have an event, let's say in the middle, at the beginning of June. You can have a technical seminar and you can say, okay, and we are developing this project and it should launch at that time. And then you are already creating awareness about this. And of course, we are encouraging you to collaborate with your student branch and university. It will again increase your impact. And you can spend the 200 from the grant money on organizing that specific event. But if you need more funding for the event, if you want to make it bigger, maybe you can collaborate with the student branch, use the student branch funds, maybe have a double event with them. The documentation, again, you will be asked to submit the report by August 10. And the report will include the documentation of the project, the documentation of the local event, because that's one of the requirements to finish the implementation phase. And of course, you will be asked for the financial report. So that's another reason to keep the photos and the documentation. And for the finances, as always, keep all of the receipts and invoices, and stay within your approved budget, like already mentioned. Also, stay in touch with the team. We will try to have regular check-ins with you and with the organizing team. So it's not going to be very, very serious, but sometimes we may just ask you how it's going. Have you made problems? Are there progress? Are there any problems that you encountered? And we will be expecting your team leader to reply, because if there is no communication, then it is a problem for both sides. But we are hoping there will be no problems. All right, and after you are done, there is something else that we are hoping will motivate you. Not only like when your grant is approved, but also it will motivate you to provide proper documentation. Based on your final report evaluation, we will select 3 best projects, and we will invite the representatives to attend a final event. What does it mean? It means one representative of the 3 teams will be, one from each of the finalist teams, will be invited to attend an event that will happen in parallel during the EnergyCon conference in Paris, France, at the end of October. And that person will be fully funded to attend it. We will provide visa support and so on. And during the final, they will present the project and its impact. So that's another reason to take pictures, to document well, because then you need to make a presentation, right? You need to show us, and always the pictures work better than just words, right? After the presentation, you will receive feedback from a panel of judges. And because we have 3 finalists, all of them will get awards. The judges will just decide what is the order, right? Who gets the first prize. And you can see that the prizes are also not that small. The first prize is $2,000. The second is $1,500, and the third is $500. And this is additional cash prize for your team. So it's not the money that is going to a student branch. Please keep in mind that this is the amount for the team. What you do with it is at your discretion. If you are going to split it evenly, or if you are going to maybe use it to host another event to celebrate, or maybe you will use it to fund the project and develop it more, that's your thing. But it's not that every team member will get that amount. It's one amount for the whole team. All right, so I hope this also motivated you. And on that note, I would like to close my presentation, and now I can answer your questions. So I already saw there is a lot of questions in the chat. So Bildane, will you lead the discussion?
Yes, thank you, Martina. Thank you for this presentation. Of course, I was aware of some things, but at this point, I might be regretting that I'm not a student and that I'm a volunteer here. So amazing opportunities, guys. I hope you will use it, and hope to see you in Paris, of course, and somebody win the additional prize. Okay, so let us go a bit back with the questions. 1 second, please, and then we will. If I miss anything by the end, please remind me, but I think I should be fine. So question is it possible for me to participate without a student branch? I mean, I think you kind of
Okay, that's the previous question. All right. No, it's not possible at that time. You can contact us by email to discuss the situation further, but the assumption is you need to have an established student branch at your university, which is kind of a guarantee for us that the university is approving and working correctly with IEEE, so they will be fine with you deploying the project. All right, so if you currently don't have a student branch, but you really want to participate in the program, you can reach out to us and we will try to find a solution. But in general, it would be complicated.
We have a couple of questions, of course, regarding the deadline extension. You know, some are asking because of the endorsement letter, and somebody because of the fulfilling the submission because of their respective project, etc. But let's say all that in a group of extended deadline.
Yeah, all right. So like I said, we are considering extending the deadline. I cannot tell you now specifically that it will be extended because first we need to get an approval for that. However, knowing the timeline that we want to start the implementation phase on the 1st of May, the extension would be a maximum of like 5 days, so until the end of next week. And yes, I fully understand that it takes time to get the endorsement from the section chair. That's why we are in favor of extending that, but please wait for the official announcement of the extension. For now, the official information is that it is Monday night.
Yes. Also, a small advice from my side: if your counselors are not giving you proper endorsement letters or section chairs, etc., you have to just be more persistent. Everyone will do it if your project is enough good. So,
I mean, every situation is different. Also, if you have a problem with that, I would also advise to reach out to us. Especially if it's a problem with your student branch counselor, like you cannot reach them or there is some kind of other problem, you can also reach out to us and we will try to find a solution.
Yes. We have here also, I'm from the IEEE Iraq section and very interested in participating in the program with my team. Our student branch is currently under approval, but due to the limited time, yeah, that is
okay. This is the same question, and also Ali asked about the email. Now Anthony pasted the email in the chat. I will also display it in a moment, or actually, let me
Mhm.
Let me move the slide here. So at the bottom, you can see the email address of the committee, and the QR code leads you to the website, so you can access the application form.
This longer question has also just if there's a possibility of sending more than one team from one uni. Maybe this is relevant in general for everyone.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so about this, I already got this question even before the webinar. So the answer is, of course, you can submit more than one proposal from the same student branch, especially if you have ideas on different problems, like unrelated projects. Then I would say you can try submit more. Of course, one counselor can provide more than one endorsement letter, and the same goes for the section. However, I would say keep in mind that it is unlikely for us to fund two projects from the same university for the obvious reasons, let's say. I hope it does not happen that we have two exceptional proposals from the same student branch, because then we will have a really tough decision to fund it. That's why maybe if you know there is another team on your student branch that has a similar idea or wants to solve the same problem, maybe you should discuss with them and join your forces and try to prepare one better proposal, which would increase your chances of getting funded, or even like apply with a bigger budget if you plan to apply with a smaller one.
Yes, that's a good point. Hannah had a similar question, but just from same student branch and side group. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but it's the same university, I assume so.
Yes, regarding the side groups, we are going to, okay, actually you are not applying as a unit, so it doesn't really matter if you are from a student branch chapter or a student branch. We know that the student branch chapter is a subunit, a part of a student branch. So yeah, it's just the same university for us. Side groups in general are not like eligible to apply because this is a program for student teams from the universities. So if you are a member of a side group, you can say that when you're describing the team. But in general, you are not applying as a unit. You are applying as individuals forming a team.
Yes. And that is why also the money goes to a section first. So keep that in mind. We have also another question about not active counselor, but you did address that, but this is a new question. So maybe just to remind.
Yeah. So if you have a problem with reaching out to your counselor, you can email us and we will try to find a solution. In general, if you don't know who the counselor is, you can go to IEEE rosters and find it, or on vTools officers reporting, you can also check the name and I guess the email address of your counselor. Does it mean the site members are not eligible? Eligible people are students from the same student branch. So it doesn't matter if you are a member of a site group, but you need to be a student at a university and you're applying as a team from one university. So being a site member is like an additional, it's like an additional information for us that may like strengthen your proposal, but not, it does not mark eligibility. Okay, you checked IEEE rosters. Okay, so I would advise to email Regionate SAC. Actually, can like Vildana or Anthony, could you also paste there the email of Regionate SAC in general, not just our subcommittee, because I think this would be a general SAC matter. So
Yes, Anthony, can you please do that? And while that, we just have one raised hand by Umar. Hi, Umar. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Vildana. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Vildana. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Martina, I'm the engineer. Latif. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I just want to make a recommendation due to the timeline. Maybe endorsement from the section chair can be optional. Because getting the student permission is easy, but maybe once you get award for the project, then you have to you need to get the endorsement from the, because some of the section chair are really difficult to get. I'm talking from the perspective of Kazakhstan. There's a huge bureaucracy, so I think the section chair endorsement might be optional, but then if your project get approved, before you get the money, you need to submit that, because we're running out of time. But the student branch counselor, I think these are people that say within the faculty, it might be an easy access. Like, that is my take. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. I partially agree with you. That would be a solution, but then it would also create some other problems. Because let's say you get a decision on the 1st of May that your project was approved, and then you have 2 weeks to get an approval from your section chair, and it's the same problem again. And what happens if you don't get in touch with your section and we decide not to transfer the funds? Then should we fund a different project? It's already, we are already in the middle of the implementation phase. So I get that point of view, and I understand it. And I understand that it's not easy. However, for now, we are going to keep the section chair endorsement as required. If you have any problems with obtaining that, you can put it in the comments of your application, and the best would be to email us even before submitting your proposal, so we can maybe help you get the support of your section.
Okay, I think that was all the questions. I don't know if we have, yes, the recording has been mentioned. We will probably put it on YouTube, I think, if not in the next few days for sure. So
Yes, we will try to do it by tomorrow, because we know that the time is also approaching. So you can expect the recording to be published soon.
On our YouTube channel, so SAC YouTube channel, just to be specific. Other than that, I think we got everything covered. Please let me know if we missed something. Now is the time to maybe copy your question again, or raise your hand, or follow up with everything. I don't see any specific new comments, so I think we are good to go. And I'm happy that we finished a bit early, so good time management, guys. And yeah, maybe just to give them 1 minute if anybody wants something, but I think we got pretty much covered all the questions, and the presentation were clear enough. So Martina, do you want to say anything as a last words?
Yes. So thank you everyone for joining. First of all, thank you Abdulatif again for joining us and for your presentation and for the tips from an experienced project manager. Thank you Verdana also for joining and for moderating the session. Also Anthony, thank you for the moderation. And thank you to everyone who joined us today and for your questions and suggestions. Really, we are hoping to see your proposals. We cannot wait for your innovative ideas. And let me just also remind you that we are planning to have a series of webinars that will be a bit more technical than the info session. So I really hope to see all of you and all of your colleagues joining our webinars in the following weeks. So I guess this was the last time to ask the questions. So I'm going to assume there are no more questions. Please visit the website, and yeah, you still have a few days to refine your proposals. And yeah.
Anthony shared the website. Thank you also for that.
Thank you for joining, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon.